Welcome to the According to Sources podcast. This is your host, Andre Williams, doing another podcast again without Devin or Rob. Fucking bombs.
That
But
sure are. Where is Rob? Where is he?
he actually told me tomorrow would be better for him. But I was
The
like,
game is on tomorrow.
yeah, no. Like I don't think we're gonna have any time to actually do that. So, but you heard another voice, not Devin, not Rob. We got senior basketball analyst. Say hello to the people.
Man, what's happening? I'm really happy to be back on. I love you guys' work, so I appreciate you inviting me on.
We'd already basically started a conversation, before you guys have joined us. We were actually getting to the conversation of defense. Now
Mm-hmm.
I'll let you you start the conversation off. You're talking about a
Uh-oh.
particular media personality asking a question uh, about Stephen Curry's defense, and you had a couple things to say about that. Go ahead.
Uh, yeah, it broke up, but I'm assuming that you're talking about Steph Curry versus Russell Westbrook in terms of defense. That's
Yeah,
where
yeah,
we're on that
absolutely.
topic.
Yeah, we're on that topic.
Yeah, just briefly, I would just say that uh Steph Curry, the thing that bothers me about him defensively is from an elite point guard perspective, we're talking about matching up all of these, great point guards that control the game in today's game under today's rules, the Damian Lillards, Russell Westbrook's, Chris Paul's, we can name all of them. Steph Curry being at the top of the pile right now as an MVP. Steph Curry is the only one of these guys that does not match up with his man. He's the only one. Steph Curry takes the weakest matchup possible. Say it again.
That may be true. There is some truth to that, but at the end of those games, today or the other day, he made the most important basketball plays on defense, and he was guarding Kevin Durant. I mean, and he was guarding him well.
What I think Steph Curry can do defensively and why I don't think he's a bad defender and why I agreed with you on that. I don't think he's a bad defender because he's a very intelligent defender. He does know what to do.
Yeah, he knows his limitations, and
So,
he sticks to those limitations. He stays within himself defensively, and he does the things that he knows he can do well. He's not going to overpower someone, so he outsmarts them. Those are the things that this stuff does very well. Like I honestly think he just outsmarted KD in those situations. Was able to strip him a couple times to get his team to win.
speaking of Durant, he needs to find a mirror because Durant made so many mistakes throughout that series. I'm almost surprised because he's not that stupid a player.
You know what? He's not that stupid a player unless it's the end of the game. And the same thing goes for Russell Westbrook. Russ isn't an idiot, but at the end of games, both of them have a tendency to do some really, really boneheaded things.
Well, and you know what's interesting? Whereas Russ is more likely to be reckless and try to take a bad shot, Durant a lot of times makes weird passes at the end of games. It's like I would rather Durant. To me, on that roster, Durant can catch and fire everything he gets. I don't need him to ever try to make a play for someone else.
I agree with
Because if
that.
you don't want to shoot, don't give him the ball. If you don't want him to shoot it, like it's like with Melo. If you don't want Melo to shoot it, why you give it to him?
I agree with that.
Just don't give it to him. Like and so, like with Russ, obviously his entire completely different because he's a point guard. But with Durant sometimes he'll go to make some weird pat. You know what Durant's passing reminds me of? Ray Allen, superstar that could not pass the ball. He would try to pass and he would just throw it away. So be like, just let it go, man. Just let it go. We'll rebound it.
I'm trying to figure out. I mean,
And
it isn't. It's a problem with them two together because I think at the end of I said this on the last podcast with Eugene McIntosh of the Bigs. Um, That game 6, Russ had one turnover for the first 46 and a half minutes of the game. And then for the
Mm-hmm.
last
Yep.
minute and a half of the game, he had 4 turnovers.
Four.
Um,
Right. Yep.
and it's
Absolutely.
not just the turnovers that are an issue. Like you could turn the ball over, but it's constant live ball turnovers that inevitably lead to a 3-pointer on the other
If
end.
you turn the ball over against Golden State is basically giving them a three.
Pretty much.
You almost you look at it and it's so bad you almost want to give them the layup when you turn it over. Just say, man, don't get back that hard, because if we get back and recover back to the basket, somebody's going to walk into a easy open three,
But they don't
and it
even
don't really matter
they don't
who it
even look
is.
for layups though. You could try to give it to them if you want, but the odds are is like they're not gonna take it. They're going to find some way to get a 3-pointer. That's just, I mean, and there's really nothing you can do about it. You could try all you want.
They actually they made Draymond Green look really foolish a few times, actually for a few games in this series.
I would say the entire series outside of maybe one game.
Playing him to pass. Yeah, basically. But playing him to pass, it's like I say about Boris Diaw all the time. Why are you playing Boris Diaw to score? When's the last time Boris Diaw scoring beat anybody? Let him score. If he thinks he's so bad and he's so great, then let him shoot. And you know what he's going to do? Miss. Because he's not a scorer. With Green, who's obviously much better than Diaw, it's the same principle, though. Draymond Green does not look to shoot. He ain't Scottie Pippen.
But
he ain't going to go out and get 40
you,
if you let him shoot.
you can only do that with a team like OKC that has people that are able to guard him. There's not a lot of teams that can guard him. Hell, he's a
We're not giving advice. We're not giving advice to bum teams, man. We in June now. We talking about teams that are elite.
yeah,
Teams
but
that are elite.
but they're about to play the Cavs, and I don't think they have anybody that can guard him either.
On Draymond Green, he shouldn't score at all.
Yeah, but
He shouldn't get a
if you put LeBron on Draymond, but you remember they kind of tried that um, in the finals last year, and it wasn't a really good. Didn't work out very well for them because
The problem, the reason
he couldn't keep Draymond off the glass.
It's that he struggles with that because LeBron, for all it's very interesting the way the strength works in basketball. It's like when I remember watching LeBron try to guard Kevin Garnett in the post. Kevin was still with the Celtics, and it was a disaster. Like he couldn't physically hold his ground
Yeah,
against the
because he
guy
can't.
that's
Like, everyone understands how strong LeBron James is, but one of the biggest overplayed, nonsensical cliches about LeBron is that he can guard all 5 positions. No, he couldn't. He never could.
No, he can't.
He never could. He was never able to do that. That was just one of those things
he
people
can't
say to decide to try to sound smart.
Bingo. It's the cliche. It's like when I hear, when I be watching my brother's games when he was a kid growing up, audience talking and say somebody couldn't go left, and I'm like, that dude was left-handed. Like, you're not even watching the game. You're just saying something you heard somebody smart say.
Somebody else say something, and automatically that just becomes the de facto thing. Well, he can guard 1 through 3 very, very well. He can never guard 4s and 5s unless it was a very, very undersized 4. And
he can guard newfangled stretch 4s, these Euro bum 4s. He can guard those.
Yeah, but those are just small forwards who can't dribble.
Bingo. That's what stretch 4 means. Stretch 4 means a 4. A 3, either the 3 that can't dribble or a 4 that can't rebound or guard.
Who can't really shoot. I mean, you're a stretch 4 when you could just barely hit a 3, but you can't be a small forward because you can't really hit the 3.
It's infuriating. Watch this. We get a live view of the 82 games with Niko Mirotic.
God, he's
he's a classic stretch 4. Classic. Like, can't really shoot that well. Like, he can throw it up from arc, so it's like he can shoot. No, he can't. He misses open threes all game. can't dribble.
Yeah,
He can't pass.
and he's not
But
very
he also
strong.
can't board or defend.
Yeah, he's not
No,
strong, so they don't have a place to
one
put
of
him.
the weakest players. No, there's no these play. You know what we used to call these guys? Not NBA players. That's what we used to call them.
Now they're
Now the
stretch
stretch
fours.
and I'm gonna tell you something else. The Hawks are showing you too. And I know we're way off topic, but I'm just gonna make this quick point. Stop starting Kyle Korver. Because when you run into a real team in the playoffs, they're gonna blank him.
Yeah,
He's not gonna score.
he can't.
Running off a bunch of single doubles and pin downs is not going to work against a great defender or a good defender. J.R. Smith had him locked down, and he's not even good.
Yeah, because he's not even good. I don't know if anybody saw what DeMar DeRozan was doing to him and Shumpert, but
well, DeRozan. See, that's the difference, though. DeRozan, man, can that dude hoop? Now, unfortunately, Toronto does not have legitimate bigs. Like when Bismack Biyombo is your best big, you're a disaster.
yeah, you're going to be in trouble. And he had a hell of a series in that series. But
hey, look, think about this. I was thinking about the Golden State Warriors interior and how I think they're dead in the water. I don't think they stand a chance, even with all the help the refs are going to give them. I don't think they stand a chance. But if I had to choose between Festus Ezeli and Bismack Biyombo, it's not even close. I think Festus is half as good as he is.
I don't think he is either, but I don't think it's really going to matter. I think the problem
how so?
The problem with Cleveland is going to be that now that they have all of their players, they're going to try to outshoot them, and you just can't. You can't outshoot.
If Tyronn Lue is that foolish, then he deserves to be fired.
Well, get ready for it to be that foolish because there's no way in the world. There's no way in the world they tried to do the defensive thing, and that didn't work last year. And they're not going to even be able to try that this year because you got Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving, who are potentially two of the worst people at their positions defensively to ever play basketball. Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love. No, I'm not like I say that without a hint of sarcasm. Like I'm not being facetious at all.
That is not Kyrie. Kyrie is not nearly as bad a defender as Kevin Love.
No, he isn't, and that's saying something because he's still one of the worst defensive point guards to ever play in the NBA. Did you see? Like just looking at the series between the Cavs and the Raptors, all they did was put Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love in pick and roll, and every time I saw a pick and roll, it was Kyrie Irving nowhere near Kyle Lowry as he did whatever the hell he wanted to do. Now it's going to be Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson, and you're going to be asking those two guys to defend the pick and roll. It's going to be wide open jump shots all goddamn day. And if you think Steph is going to start this series slow the way he started last series, nah, I can't possibly see it happening.
And you think that that's enough? Because I don't think it's a matter of saying, hey, are we going to shoot jump shots or play defense? I think the choice is, are we going to shoot jump shots or are we going to bang the interior? I think that on the interior,
I see.
Oh, I think offensively they can get a layup on every possession against Golden State. I don't think Golden State.
But the problem is like they're going to be getting layups, and the other team is going to be shooting threes. And also, I also think that Draymond Green is going to punk Kevin Love because Kevin Love is a punk.
This is Draymond Green's biggest and anybody that ever talked to me and anybody that follow me on Twitter or whatever knows I love Draymond Green.
I want to punch that dude in his face.
Well, his biggest attribute, really, his most important attribute is that he's allowed to foul. That's his most important attribute. He's allowed to do things physically we get tossed for. Like, obviously the kick to the groin was some obvious WWF style bullshit. But other stuff, he straight, the only reason they broke the record is because he jumped on Vince Carter's back and then just tackled him. And the refs just watched it. Like, he's allowed to do stuff like, I'm a fan of his because I like the old school Xavier McDaniel, Anthony Mason style 3/4 player, and I grew up watching it and I enjoy it. But the problem is you don't allow other people to do that. So it's easy for him to look tough when you whistling everybody else for breathing on
I
people.
don't even think
And
it's
then
about him looking tough so much as this is about. I think Kevin Love is a bitch, and
no. I guess what I was getting at is it's going to be you're correct. It here though, like he always gets allowed to do things physically other guys can't do. Against Kevin Love, it's going to be exacerbated because Kevin Love is butter soft. He's just soft, and doing in Minnesota because people were Porzingis in him and blowing him up to be something he isn't. And I didn't really care for it anyways. I'm like, they win 10 games a year. Stop telling me about Kevin Love. But every time I see him in his time when they need him, he's either hurt or bad.
exactly. That's why I don't think you could win you could win unless he just somehow he just goes off. He just goes absolutely nuts. I don't think they have enough firepower to beat that team. They need him to be really, really good, and I've yet to see him be really, really good when they really, really need him, especially
You know
against this
what's
team.
you know what's funny? I last year before the series started, I thought Cleveland would win the series. And I thought they had a really good chance of winning the series. But the reason I thought that, but this year, I'm much less confident. I was wrong, but this year I'm less confident, not because I watched them lose to Golden State already. I'm less confident because Tristan Thompson is not the starting power forward.
That's like my point. That's exactly my point. There's going to be less Delly. There's going to be less Tristan Thompson. There's going to be more Kyrie and more Kevin Love. And that defense is not going to be able to hold up long enough to keep that team from not going absolutely crazy.
What if are we going to see LeBron do a Galactus routine and try to pound the air out of the ball and
I don't think he
try
can
to play?
with Kyrie and Kevin.
Oh, he can do whatever he wants, but we're not going to see that because of Kyrie and Kevin Love.
I mean, he could clearly do whatever he wants to do, but if he wants to win, that's not going to be what he does because we saw that dancing routine. It doesn't work. Like I was telling somebody else, if you looked at the last two games, the last 3 games of that series, Golden State beat the shit out of Cleveland in the last 3 games. Like they weren't necessarily close. Once I think
they weren't that.
What was it? I think it was game 3. It was I don't know what it was that clicked with Steph, but you can literally see it in his face when he was just like, oh, and then he just started going off, and that was it.
Well, part of the problem is that series was too easy for Golden State as a team because, I mean, Sean Livingston would get in the game and get on the block and terrorize people. Like, there just weren't enough good basketball players in Cleveland's rotation. So it was a matter of them really trying to beat LeBron. Like I'm looking at, like I've been like paying close attention to the Tyronn Lue rotations. He's playing Richard Jefferson more than he's playing Dellavedova. Dellavedova can't play. He ain't a championship caliber.
No,
if you play him more than 10 minutes a game, you will not win a title. You have no chance. Because the other team, Golden State, don't play anybody that looks like him. Even Andrew Bogut bum ass ain't that bad. Nobody on their roster is that bad. And they come in with Leandro Barbosa. He's as old as me, and he still cooked Dellavedova. So if you have a guy like that in your rotation, I mean, you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle. So you can't play him heavy minutes. And I think that's really what happened to Cleveland, really.
They definitely didn't have enough talent. They didn't have enough talent. I just don't think they have enough. I don't think they have enough. I mean, just looking at that team defensively, and I'm trying to figure out a way that they stop Golden State. Like if you go through and you look at Cleveland, they're our Eastern Conference team, right? They still have those like 5, 6, 7 minute stretches where they just don't score. They just don't score.
Yep.
Golden
Yep.
State don't have those stretches. If you go 6 or 7 minutes
And
without scoring against Golden State, you're gonna be down by 15 to 20 points.
absolutely. And you know what's interesting about that observation? How you have all these dead stretches when you got Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love on the roster?
Because they don't; those pieces don't fit very well together. Because everybody needs to have the ball in their hand. There's no D Wade. There's no Chris Bosh, guys that can play very well off the ball. There's
You
nobody
know,
like that.
I'm glad you brought up the great Chris Bosh. And I say the great Chris Bosh because when I go in, all I hear is denigrating of Chris Bosh. I mean, maybe you
I mean,
indifferent.
he's a Hall of Famer. So what can you say?
Ain't no doubt about it. Hall of Famer. And if the man can never suit up again because of his body's throwing these blood clots around, if he can't ever play again,
It's terrible.
people, you know, it's terrible, and people didn't appreciate this man because you see what your boy Kevin Love does,
He don't do nothing.
and you see
Yeah,
what
he
Chris.
don't do what Chris Bosh does. Like playing with LeBron as a power forward is probably one of the more difficult things to do, and he did it very well.
Well, you know what? Actually, I think more so is difficult with today's power forwards. If LeBron was playing with Charles Oakley would be just fine.
Yeah, because Charles
Charles
Oakley
Oakley would
don't
be
need the
fine.
ball. He don't need to score. Charles
Well,
Oakley is
well,
fine
hey,
with grabbing some
that's what
rebounds and setting some
you hit,
screens.
you hit that glass, you set them screens, you play tough D, and when you get elbow jump shots, you knock it down. Haslam, you know his Haslam's 1,000 years old now. I need out of my power forward. If you telling me you can't play with LeBron, and you telling me you don't really do your job as a power forward. Now, Chris Bosh kind of turned himself into a stretch four so
Yeah,
he could
because
play with
that
LeBron.
that's the type of power forward LeBron needs to be successful with him. You have to be a stretch four that can hit the three. Otherwise, you're not going to work.
Well, Love, this is where then Kevin Love ain't a max player then. Because that's what Kevin Love does. That's actually Kevin Love said. Like Chris Bosh turned himself into that for LeBron.
You know,
Toronto.
I don't think Kevin Love is a stand in the corner and shoot three kind of guy. That's just not what he is, and that's not, at least that's not what he envisions himself as being, and that's where his struggles come from. He wants to be more than just, okay, Kevin, go stand in the corner and we'll throw you the ball whenever we get the opportunity to. He wants to be more than that.
Well, if he can't do that, then he needs to go play in Philly or something and lose 70 games a year.
Yeah, he might be a loser, but
Because
it you see that it hasn't necessarily worked. Like
well,
like they
he's
have
far better
some
than he was
points.
last year. He's far better than he was last year under Black. He's far better. It's still not what we need. If from a Cleveland perspective, it's not what you need. Much better than he was.
Yeah, he is, but he still
Like,
he still has those just long stretches where you're just looking
you just
around and like I don't even know where Kevin Love is. Like, was he on the floor? I have no idea if he's on the floor or not.
he had a game against Toronto where he had 2 rebounds, and I said, "See that kind of shit." If I'm Tyronn Lue, I pull him aside and I say, "Why you got 2 rebounds?"
And you looking
Like
at it like, who the hell was stopping him from grabbing these rebounds?
Bismack Biyombo.
Yeah, whatever. And I like Bismack, to be honest with you. I like him. I think that
But you
kid
saying no,
is
that can't stop max power forward from rebounding. I get your point,
nah, not a chance
but
in
that's what.
hell. You got to be
Well,
able to
that's
get
what.
those rebounds.
Hey, can you imagine if he had to go up against Tristan Thompson for a series? There wouldn't be nothing but pieces of Kevin Love left. He'd just break them apart.
He wasn't all that good in that last series either, to be honest with you. Yeah,
He's not.
while we on
He
the
should.
while we on the power forward train, the kill their power forward train, he wasn't playing all that well either.
No, and you know what? Here's the thing. I'm gonna tell you like this: if Cleveland has a ghost of a chance in hell are winning this series, which I kind of don't think they do. But if they do, it's going to be because Tristan Thompson gives me 11 rebounds and 2 blocks a game.
You're going to have to give you something.
He's going to have to be active. He's going to have to be active and dominant. He's going to have stretches of the games where they're trying to block him out with multiple players, and Cleveland's getting a second chance.
Yeah, because it wasn't a lot of that in this last series where people last year was a whole bunch of, he was like the best offensive rebounding dude in the league, and I don't think I've heard anyone say that about him once in that last series.
What I'm hoping that he's been coasting because he knew they didn't need him to put that kind of effort in. Because, I mean, keep in mind, remember, they broke a record and won 10 straight. So it ain't like they needed him to do anything.
Well, when they tied it up at 2-2, they kind of needed him to do a little bit more. And he was still just like 9 points and 9 rebounds, you know? Like,
did you think Toronto was going to win that series?
No, I didn't. No, not a chance in the world. But you still need him to do more than 9 points and 9 rebounds. Like, it just has to be more than that.
Look, if he can't, because what Tristan Thompson also was doing against Golden State, or one side effect of the fact they were having to block him out with multiple people, can't fast break when you do that. You can't fast break defensive rebound when you have to gang defensive block people out. You can't get ahead. You can't get ahead of the defense when you rebound. By the time you rebound, it's dead. So Tristan Thompson's efforts are going to be essential. And if he's not wearing Green down with his offensive rebounding prowess, they don't stand a chance. Because Kevin Love's not going to do it. In fact, you know what? I'm starting to think Kevin Love just isn't that great a rebounder. And really, he was just getting all those rebounds in Minnesota because they were so bad.
Somebody had to get some rebounds.
Yeah, somebody has to get a defensive rebound, so somebody got it, and it was Kevin Love. Like, I'm starting to think that, because I have not seen Kevin Love maybe 4 or 5 times as a Cavalier really wreck the glass, just really climb all over it and just offensive rebounds.
No, in his defense, he's never played with LeBron James before either. LeBron is, he finds himself on the glass a lot, around the glass a lot. So in his defense, a lot of that is like, because if you remember when he was playing with what's the big guy, Pekovic? When Pekovic came around, Kevin Love didn't rebound the ball as much either because Pekovic was there. So I don't know.
Is LeBron a big time offensive rebounder?
I mean, LeBron is just, he's a big time everything, and this is coming from somebody who doesn't even like LeBron. He does a lot.
He can offensive rebound, but there's no way he's averaging more than 2 a game. Rebounds, Kevin. Where are they? Like, and because here's the thing, I don't want to be one of these people that wants to, because like, I don't have any reason to not like Kevin Love. I wish Kevin Love wants him to be successful, but he's not doing it. He's not doing it.
I think it.
Hey, look, I can't decide who annoys me more. Really, I like fanboys and all this nonsense with Golden State has gotten totally out of hand. Like people talk about these dudes like they invented basketball, and it's like, first of all, and let me get this out the way. If you think that this team will beat the 70-win Bulls, I'm telling you, you stupid.
I mean, they have more regular season wins, but the Bulls had the better overall win percentage for a season. So there's that.
And look, I'm just looking at the matchups. Golden State, I watched Golden State look stymied against this retarded Oklahoma City team. It doesn't even do anything right.
You know what? But Oklahoma City plays some really good goddamn defense.
Oklahoma City will get swept.
But they play some good as defense. Like, this is the type of team that bothers OKC. A team that's athletic and a team that's long. And OKC has those two things in goddamn spades. That's why I think.
Absolutely.
That's why
They
I think
start 3-7-foot.
Golden State is going to find it easier to score against Cleveland than they did against OKC, because who the hell on Cleveland Cavaliers team? None of them are athletic except for LeBron, and none of them are long. They have no long athletic guys on that team outside of LeBron, and that's what bothered.
Shump.
Yeah, Shump. He's not even good either. DeMar DeRozan was cooking his ass too, and the same thing's going to happen with Clay. The same thing is going to happen
He's
with
not
Clay.
good. Oh no, Shump will be much more successful. Clay's not. Clay don't have those kinds of one-on-one capabilities.
All he needs to do is get a little bit of room to get that jump shot off, and he's going to have a hell of a lot of that. A lot of that.
Well, I don't think Clay is a problem. I'm not worried about Clay against. I'm not worried about Clay against Shump or J.R. Smith. Really.
All right.
I'm worried about Steph. I'm worried about Steph. I'm not worried about Clay. And I'm not saying Clay's gonna have a bad fine. What's gonna beat you is best player.
I think a lot of people thought the same thing about that OKC series, and then Clay just went. He just turned into the Human Torch and didn't miss anything. Like, he has those tendencies, and I think he kind of wants to. He wants to redeem himself for the way that he played in the finals last year. I think he's going to have an unbelievable series against Cleveland.
I don't think that he played bad. I think he played bad in the finals because Shump did what Tony Allen did to him.
But he was playing bad pretty much all playoffs. That entire playoffs, he just didn't. He didn't.
After he saw Tony Allen, he did, because he had to play Tony Allen and he had to play Shump.
But he didn't have to play Tony Allen all 4 series. He didn't play well in any of them series. He just didn't shoot well, and now he's shooting well. So now what? Now how are you going to stop him from getting wide open 3-pointers when you got Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving out there playing defense?
The same way they glued themselves to Korver. Same.
But he's. I mean, yeah, but you know he's not Korver though. You know he could actually dribble the ball and get to the basket.
He can, but I think when he puts the ball on the floor, I don't think he's gonna get away from Shump. And maybe I'm wrong, but I think that, because here's what I think is gonna actually happen. I think Klay Thompson's gonna average like 18 points and shoot around 40% even from the field. Very inefficient, rough series.
I don't. I think
that's to say he won't have a breakout game or something like that, but I think overall he's gonna have a rough series.
I think we're gonna have a couple of those games where Klay just goes absolutely nuts, because it's easy to guard a guy when all you're supposed to do is guard that guy. That's all you're doing. But now, that's not going to be the case when you have Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love playing on the floor, because now you have to worry about their man blowing right past them and getting to the basket, and you're going to have to worry about that a lot.
And you know what? You honestly have hit the nail on the head here. You've nailed it.
Those dudes, and actually, they're so bad. They're so bad defensively.
You started your podcast with this though, really.
Yeah, because they're so bad.
We have 2 players on the court that really are defensive liabilities, and Kevin Love being one of the worst defensive power forwards we've ever seen. I'm gonna tell you, like Kyrie, but Kyrie can make defensive plays. In fact, in game 1 of the finals last year, Kyrie made several defensive plays against Steph Curry that were good plays. He played Steph basically head up to show how great a player he can be. Kevin Love cannot function defensively. There's nothing he can do against anybody and give up a gang of points.
And now what you're going to do is you're going to put him on the same floor. Literally all Toronto did to get their points was put them 2 in the pick and roll. That's all they did. They didn't do anything else. Like, we're going to put you in a pick and roll, and if you don't switch, we're going to run another pick and roll until you switch, then we can get Kevin Love on someone. Whoever we're doing this pick and roll with, we want Kevin Love to be guarding them. And they just
they don't even have to do that. They don't even have to do that against Cleveland. They can just set their ball screen, and move the basketball and just till somebody wide open because of a fucked up rotation.
And all it
That's
takes
all they
is
have to do. They don't have to
one
target
bad
any.
rotation. Now maybe none of this will happen. Maybe Cleveland is going to just be outstanding and they're going to beat them. All of that is possible. But I think it's going to be another 6-game series, and I think Golden State's going to win it.
I think it's definitely possible. And I think that actually, I think it's possible, but I'm leaning toward Golden State because I don't like having Kevin Love on the floor this much. And really, in the offseason, I really felt like again, I wanted it to be that way. I wanted Kevin Love to be worth a max deal. I wanted them to keep it together and have LeBron, Kyrie, and Kevin Love kind of ride off into the sunset as this great 3-man tandem that comes together and wins a title.
Something is off
I
about
wanted it to be that way. You know what's off about it? Love isn't holding up his end of the deal. That's what's off about it. His end. He is not playing. He's not a great player. He has not played great since he put on a Cleveland Cavaliers jersey. And what that to me means, he ain't a great player. If you can't function in a situation when greatness is required, then you ain't a great player. You ain't a great player. We have not seen him do anything to, frankly, again, I said this is another one of the things you get lit up on social media for saying they are better with Tristan Thompson on the floor. I don't give a fuck with the analytics and all this. Do people try to pretend like they understand math now? These people all got C's in math. Now they telling me analytics, whatever. Care what the lineups are saying. I don't care about that kind of shit because that shit can lie. Because all I have to do is put Kevin Love against bad lineups, and then that lineup don't look as bad defensively. Overall, they are a more dangerous 5-man team when Tristan Thompson is in Kevin Love's place. Lou tried to do to fix that is he got Mozgov bum ass off the floor entirely. It just DNPs him.
Play.
Yeah, and he shouldn't play because he's bad. But so he puts Tristan Thompson as a starting center, but it still causes the same problems, and the constant is Kevin Love. That's the constant. When Kevin Love is out there, it's very difficult for them to mount any kind of defensive stance. It's very difficult
because the best way for them to mount a defensive stance is by having Mozgov out there. Isn't that the funny thing about it?
Right. Well, you know why? This is the reason. Because you're supposed to have a center on the floor.
No,
I know that's not popular.
We don't play centers anymore.
But just there's no more. Like, and see, here's the thing. And this is why I'm gonna get back to this Bulls argument and then leave it alone.
This
Bulls shit argument? Is some pessimist. Oh, the Bulls versus Golden State Warriors argument. The 71.
I didn't know that was an argument.
Oh yeah, come on, you know it's an argument. Especially when Steve Kerr went out there with that him and on hands. You know what Steve Kerr would have done if he wasn't such a milk toast useless person? Jeez. He would have said, "This is what he would have said." What has Steve Kerr ever done? I'll get to that in a second. If Steve Kerr wasn't limp, when they asked him, "Hey, was your 72-win Bulls team that you were on beat this Golden State Warriors team?" He would have said, "Did you see that shit? Are you kidding? That team had Jordan, Pippen, and Rodman. Don't ask me no stupid questions, man. Don't ask me anything stupid."
He has to. He still has to coach
those
guys.
You see, and he has to because that's the way they act. That's the way these rich, privileged dudes act. He didn't have to do that. He could have said what I just said.
He could have, but then he does have to walk into that locker room. He walked into the locker room and all those guys looking at him like, "Hey, man, what the fuck?" Like, what?
What's like, that? Y'all think y'all better than them? Really?
I mean, unless someone makes a time machine, I don't think we're going to see that. We're going to see that one play out. But I think,
I'm sorry. That was a bad thing. That was a stupid thing to say. I apologize.
I think they think they're better, and
they're stupid.
You know what? And I don't have a problem with them.
You think Draymond Green thinks he's better than Dennis Rodman? He's played less than a calendar year of good basketball. He thinks he's better than Dennis Rodman.
That's the thing about about any
Klay Thompson is
athlete,
better than Jordan.
athletes in general. Athletes in general, unless you think you're the best, you're probably not really good. Like you're not top, you're not elite. The elite guys think they're better than everybody. You don't think Stephen Curry thinks he's better than LeBron James? That dude,
If he thinks he's better than LeBron James in basketball, he's stupid.
I think he's the best basketball player in basketball right now. I mean,
nah.
Yeah.
No, or LeBron.
He's playing better basketball than all of them right now. More consistent.
He's on the better team. He's on the better team in just the right situation. If I put him in the Philadelphia 76ers.
I mean, if you put LeBron on the 76ers, they ain't doing shit either. This is 76ers.
Go to the playoffs. They would go to the playoffs. No. Oh, yeah. Sure they would.
No, they're not. No, they wouldn't.
No, they wouldn't. Where was Cleveland before LeBron got there?
They didn't have Kyrie Irving. But you tell me the Kyrie Irving that's on the I'm talking about on Philadelphia. On Philadelphia. Give me the Kyrie Irving on that team.
It don't matter. It don't matter. They were still terrible.
No, they were terrible.
It don't matter.
They were terrible, but they were an actual NBA. They had actual NBA talent. That Philadelphia 76ers team doesn't have anything close to NBA talent. They have no NBA talent that we've seen yet.
That's a good point.
We got some guys that can.
Okafor is a legitimate anchor. Okafor can hoop.
Okafor may be the worst defensive center in the last 20 years in NBA. Maybe. Like he's definitely fighting for that spot. And I like Big Ja. But he's one of the he was one of the worst defensive college centers.
The defensive center is Arvydas Sabonis.
Arvydas Sabonis was like 90 years old when he came into the NBA. This dude is 20.
I'm just saying. Hey, I didn't tell Arvydas Sabonis to hide in Russia or wherever he was until he got old. I ain't telling him to do that.
Man, he was really good, though. He was really, really good, though. I love Arvydas.
That's what they say, but you know what? I don't watch Russian basketball. I watch the NBA.
No, I watched him in the NBA. He was pretty damn good in the NBA too. He's pretty damn good.
So I like what he did. I like some of it, but he was a horrible defender. That's all I'm saying. And defensively, he was laughable. Like people talked about Shaq's pick and roll defense. Arvydas Sabonis played pick and roll defense like Pau Gasol. Just didn't play.
Yeah. And he had an excuse though. He didn't have any cartilage and like
he had no cartilage in his. That's true.
Pau has all of that, and he still.
Oh yeah, Pau is
not to play defense.
Dude, you know what? I picture Pau Gasol. This isn't true, but I picture it. I picture Pau Gasol in the locker room after games with like a little table with a tablecloth, sipping tea like at a cafe or some shit. I picture him having.
That might actually be
true. Man, you know what? When I saw that Boris Diaw thing, I was like, I can't believe that.
I could.
He had a cappuccino maker.
Yeah. That was a perfect Boris Diaw picture, actually. That was the most Boris Diaw has ever been.
Yeah, that was the most Boris Diaw-y thing we've ever seen in our lives.
I'm gonna talk to you because I talked to Eugene about this yesterday. We talked about the Bulls a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think is about to happen here? Because I'm not sure what's going to happen.
Nothing. It's going to be the same. It's going to be very elementary. It's going to be predictable. You always wish that you had some kind of splash. Because I remember when we first met over social media, one of the conversations we had was, why didn't the Bulls go after Gerald Green? I was like, Gerald Green?
Yeah, I still would have loved them to actually go after an actual NBA basketball player that is capable of getting his own shot, whose name isn't Derrick Rose or Jimmy Butler.
And cheap. And cheap. You could have Gerald Green because of Gerald Green, and I realize why Gerald Green's been out of the league, in and out of the league. It's because of his mental issues. It's because of his mental health issues. And you could get Gerald Green dirt cheap.
Yeah, you
Dirt
could
cheap.
have. Now you can't. Now you can't get him for shit.
No, not no. Well, Pat Riley. Pat Riley once again made a fool out of everybody, and he has him. He just got him sitting there in the cut. And if with I laughed at that statement because I'm like, ever seen the Bulls go and get an athletic wing?
I didn't say they would.
What?
I said I would
They have
love
no
for them to
Scotty.
actually do it. You know what? I want to see what they're going to do. You know what? Because now they're in this situation where
They had
jobs
James
are.
Johnson. They cut him.
Yeah, James. He just didn't fit in with what Thibs was doing. That was more of a Thibs thing than it was anyone else's. He just didn't fit in with what Thibs wanted.
They cut him.
But
I'm
now
just
you
saying.
have. Now I think at this point, jobs are on the line.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there can be no more whatever the hell is going on with the Chicago Bulls. Now,
I don't think Paxson. I don't think Paxson. You think Paxson's job's on the line?
no, Patch's job isn't on the line. Gar Forman's job is on the line. This is it for Gar Forman.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, this is it for him because you think about it like this. From what I've been hearing, Gar Forman and John Paxson aren't all that goddamn close. And if I'm John Paxson and it's either him or me, goddamn it, it's gonna be him. John Paxson is gonna fire the shit out of him because somebody's gonna have to get fired if they're this bad again next year. And I guarantee you it won't be John Paxson.
You could be absolutely correct. In fact, I'm gonna assume you are. I believe you. I'm gonna assume you are. Change anything if Gar Forman gets fired.
You know what? I would much rather if we're gonna have one of the two, Gar Forman or John Paxson, doing everything to build the team. I would much rather it be John Paxson than Gar Forman. That's just me. I would much rather it be John Paxson. Gar Forman has proven himself to be a goddamn idiot. I'm yet to see that John Paxson is an idiot outside of that LaMarcus Aldridge, Tyrus Thomas trade. That's the only bad thing that I really got on John Paxson. I have a litany of bad moves from Gar Forman. All he's done has been bad moves.
Isn't John Paxson signing off on all that dumb shit?
I don't think so. I think that he's away from it. He's a part.
Then what is he doing all day? What is John Paxson's job then if he doesn't sign off on this shit?
I don't know. I think that after he choked Vinny Del Negro, they kind of they kind of pulled him away from all of that.
I blame them both. I think they're both morons. I really do. And I would also like to add, I think that it's a funny feature of this country that people with these that are fortunate enough to have these incredible jobs where they are, fun and make a lot of money, jobs that almost nobody ever gets to smell. I find it funny that when they bungle things in horrific fashion, they still don't get fired.
Gar Forman is getting fired. To me, you could. I'm almost.
The LaMarcus Aldridge trade was enough where you should never have a job again.
Yeah,
you should never have a job.
Yeah, I think about it like this. Would I really want to trade having LaMarcus Aldridge for having those few years of Derrick Rose? And I don't think I would have. I don't think I want that because we wouldn't have had Derrick had we had LaMarcus Aldridge. So I'll take that.
Yeah, but that's not why they did that.
No, that's not why they did. But I'm looking back on it and understanding that had we had him, we wouldn't have had him. So whatever. It was a mistake. It happens, but it ended up working out for the better. It just sucks. Like everything with this Chicago Bulls team comes back to the same thing. It sucks that Derrick Rose towards ACL.
Yes.
It sucks.
Well, part of the reason, really, I think the reason that he's one of the reasons he has so many problems is he's not playing like a normal point guard. They turned him into this like team mascot. He didn't play like that in Memphis. He was a ball distributing point guard just like any normal player.
Yeah,
and
they built a team around him that it was a necessity for him to not be that. He had to shoot a lot. The
And
whole team was
I think it
predicated
was,
on Derrick Rose.
and I think that it was from a marketing perspective too. I think that was it was like, hey, come to the United Center to see Derrick Rose score. And that doesn't have anything to me to do with building a championship basketball team. It doesn't have anything to do with it. I'm not going to have Derrick Rose is not Russell Westbrook. You know why? There's only one of those. He's not Dwayne Wade either, which is basically what Westbrook is. Wade. He's a tiny
I don't
bit
know.
smaller and
He was
fast.
a different monster than all of them because I mean that dude was a goddamn beast, man. Even with all of the injuries, I think the thing that hurt Derek the most, and I don't think him being a scoring point guard was necessarily the problem. I think the bigger problem was that for too many years he just put his head down and played basketball instead of letting people know he was hurt.
Well,
That was his.
it ain't like that's an exclusive problem to him. That's an exclusive problem to the Bulls and their horrible organization. And we know the list of
Nah,
bodies. There's a list
a
of
lot of
bodies.
no, because I think you letting the Bulls off too easy. A lot of those guys were telling the Bulls that they were hurt, and the Bulls were just like, Derek,
I like how you
Derek,
did that. I like that.
Derek was the opposite. He was not letting people know that he was hurt more than he actually was. That was his thing. He's like, well, I'll just play through it, and it came back at some point to bite him. And another thing that messed him up is it was like a double-edged sword. Actually, is he went to the Olympics. He went to the Olympics and got better, but in the process, he wore his body down because he went to
Yep.
the Olympics and then he came back and we had that the strike shortened season
Mm-hmm.
and his body couldn't take all of that. Because
Lockout story.
if you look at it, a lot of those guys ended up. A lot of those guys got hurt. He just
True.
happened to be the one that got hurt. His was more serious than everybody else's, but
Mm-hmm.
a lot of those guys got hurt. You look at Dwayne Wade and the way his body has deteriorated since playing in all those finals, and then and then in the Olympics. Like a lot of those guys didn't come out of that like very well. Like Carmelo ain't been the same since that strike shortened season. The only person
Melo,
that's been the same is LeBron, and that's because he does
Melo,
HGH.
Melo needs like a season off. Like I legitimately think he should just not play next season. Just don't play.
Now he didn't play this season, so I think he got his season off this year. Because what did he play like 20, 25 games? He didn't play. He wasn't playing.
Oh, he played half the season.
Yeah, all right.
Melo, he played half the
He was
season.
in
Come
the
on.
game, but how much of it did he play? Melo was out there getting
Oh,
his money. He knew he didn't have a
well,
chance. Once that team went on that little that downward slide, it was a wrap. There was no more Melo. He may have been out there playing the games, but he had already checked out. His body checked out a little bit later.
You talk about a disastrous franchise. The Knicks are a disaster.
At least they got
They're a
Porzingis.
disaster.
I'd
Yeah,
rather have Porzingis. I'd
Andre
rather have
Bargnani.
Porzingis than he's much better than Bargnani. And I'd much rather have Porzingis than fucking Nikola Mirotic.
Well, Nikola
We
Mirotic isn't.
we got Nikola Mirotic and they have Porzingis. Give me Porzingis every day of the week.
Man, come on, man. Don't do that. Don't compare him to not. Porzingis is an NBA player. Don't compare him to it.
That's what I'm saying.
Mirotic does not belong in the league.
They got an
Mirotic
NBA player on their team. they got a couple NBA players on their team. The Bulls, on the other hand,
Melo plays 72 games.
Oh, he played 72. Is that what they
played
call it?
40.
Huh?
He played 35 minutes a game. How many minutes you want him to play?
Did you see them games? You call it? You know what? I ain't gonna say nothing.
I saw a lot of them.
Like, I don't know if Melo was out there playing so much as he was just out there on the court. But
here's what I would say. Like I see the same things you do. So let's get that clear. I see the same things you do. It's like, man, Melo was coasting a lot. But what I would say is this: I'm gonna stop criticizing a lot of these guys like Carmelo Anthony. You know why?
I like Melo.
Because yeah, that's one. I like him, but the reason I like him is because Melo averaged 22 points a game and 7.7 rebounds.
This is actually one of my
Why am I
favorite.
talking about Melo?
This is
This is
one of
not why the
this
Knicks
is
are
actually one of my favorite Melo seasons. To be honest with you, I mean, besides the point where it was clear that the season was over, and he realized that the season was over. But
I like his scoring. I like his scoring title season. That's the one I like.
yeah, that was a good season too. But I like this season because it showed a lot more of his game. He was more than just a scorer, and he had to integrate, a young guy and help a young guy, get acclimated to the game. I think he did. I think he did
I
it
always
well.
thought this was a bad rap, though. I never felt like Melo had to prove anything to me. I always felt like that was bad rap and this shit people say about him.
Yeah,
It's just like a way of criticizing, tearing down a star player.
no, I think he
Oh,
did
Melo's selfish.
need,
Melo.
now not the selfish thing, but to be a more well-rounded leader of a team, and or to just be someone like to mentor a young basketball player. That takes a lot when people are saying that this guy is the person who's going to take your spot as the face of the franchise. And I think he did that very well on a very, very bad NBA basketball team. I just think
Five years from now, you think Porzingis is going to be a relevant NBA player
I
5
think
years
he's
from
going to
now?
be relevant, but is he going to be what everybody is saying he's going to be? Not a chance in hell, unless something really,
Okay.
really changes
Well,
with him. His body type
all right.
it doesn't lend itself very well.
It didn't hold. It didn't hold up season one.
Yeah,
It wasn't holding up.
he's too
He
too
like
frail.
he went stretch to the season. I saw a game out there. I saw a game he went scoreless against Portland, and I said that's the worst front court I've ever seen. I have never seen a front court where the best player was Ed Davis. I've never seen that before. Never. And Portland rolled that, and the NBA is so deteriorated that bullcrap made the playoffs. That's how bad the NBA is. The NBA is so bad right now. The Grizzlies didn't fall apart, even though they had number D leaguers out there.
You know,
That's how bad
you
the
sound
NBA is.
like an old school basketball player just shitting on a new school man. Get over it.
Oh, I'm supposed to get over watching Plumlee's and these dudes starting
Hey
on
man,
NBA teams.
hey man, Dame and CJ put in work.
Oh no, I appreciate that. See, that's what I'm saying. I ain't hating on nobody.
Man,
I
they
appreciate
put
dudes.
in work.
Well, I got a problem with them dudes. I got a problem with them dudes collecting checks that can't play dead. And them front court players, they got Plumlee, Myers Leonard, or whatever his
Hey
name
man,
is. These
you
dudes.
get off of Meyer Leonard. That's
Oh,
Illinois' finest right there, man. I'm in the line now. I'm a stick up for my line now, man. You got to get off the
oh God. Oh God. Like if look, I'm gonna tell you like this. If you can't go out there and just bang the boards and get layups against a team like that until you have 150 points, you deserve to lose. CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard should not be able to just shoot you out of the building. Like, who are they? Like, who are Damian Lillard
man.
and
I
CJ
don't know.
McCollum shoot you out of the building?
Dave may be the best shooter in the league that doesn't play for Golden State. That goddamn dude, man, he's ridiculous.
That may be the case, but I'm gonna tell you like this: if you go out there, if I said my backcourt was Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumars, two Hall of Famers, and then I say, but you got to have Allen Crabbe, Myers Leonard, and one of them Plumlees.
Man, they
You like, and we gonna make the playoffs? You'll be like, damn, we might not make the playoffs.
nah, man, they making the playoffs because Joe D and Zeke go give you buckets. What you talking about?
But how are you going to defend? How are you going to rebound? How are you going to do any of the things other than get buckets?
Man,
How?
all we need is buckets, and that's all CJ and Dave gave you.
Oh
They
well,
gave you
if that's
buckets.
the case, then look, it's funny. It's funny. See, I know you kidding and everything, but it's funny, man. It's in a way the NBA has turned into that, but in a way it hasn't, because ultimately it always comes down to who's guarding. And in the end of that Oklahoma City series, they stopped guarding.
They stopped
They
doing a lot
stopped
of stuff.
guarding.
A lot
Yeah, well, yeah, they did stop doing a lot of
they
stuff.
stopped doing
But
a lot of stuff. They stopped thinking.
they actually, you know what? Just when Billy Donovan, and you know what? It was we were talking about it briefly because you tweeted it. Just when Billy Donovan was winning me over,
Yeah,
man,
I
he
don't
should
think
have.
it's him. And I said this too about somebody else,
You know how so? Explain that. How so?
because these are the same issues that Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook had under a completely different coach.
Under a
Completely
horrible coach.
no, but a completely
Horrible.
different coach, a completely different guy. Same
But
problem.
he's horrible.
Yeah,
But he's horrible.
but it's them though. It's not the coaching. It can only be the coaching for so long. It's them. They are two of the most talented basketball players in the NBA, but they just happen to be two of the most stupid.
You know what?
They're too talented to do the dumb things that they do. We were talking about stupid turnovers from Kevin Durant. He's been doing those same
Yes.
stupid turnovers for years. When is it gonna change? Nobody's coaching him to make them dumbass turnovers. He's just doing this shit.
Well, what I wonder is, you know what I would like to know, and unfortunately, I can't go to enough games and sit close enough to hear what is being called. Because a lot of times I don't think Oklahoma City is running anything, and
And
that's
that's
what
them
like
too.
these
Because
problems.
you can't tell me that two coaches have come in here and be like, okay, we ain't gonna run shit. It's them. It's them.
Oh, Scott Brooks was literally just a suit draped over a chair with some
But
glasses sitting on.
now you have somebody that you know isn't that, and the same things are happening. It's them. I'm sure Billy
Well,
Donovan wasn't like, okay, let's run the play where Russ throws the ball directly out of bounds. Like they're just out there making very, very bad basketball plays, and they're doing it in the worst possible times, and they're doing it a lot. A lot.
uh, I cannot argue with that. So this is not a rebuttal. I'm not gonna let them off the hook for doing dumb shit. You're right. But what I would add is about Donovan and address what you said earlier about Donovan as a coach. Like
Um,
I know he can win a national title if he's got 3, 4 NBA players on his team. I know he can do that. But what do I know about his coaching?
I know.
Nothing. And when we found out, oh, can't coach. Next.
Well,
Next.
I'll say this. I know I found out that he was able to get more out of Dion Waiters than anybody I've ever seen get out of Dion Waiters.
Dion Wade, you know what? Let's talk. I want to talk about
Hold on.
Dion
But
Wade.
it's more than just the Dion Waiters
Oh
thing.
yeah, you're right. You're right. Finish
He
your point. I'm sorry.
he
You're right.
realized that Steven Adams was an actual good NBA basketball player, and he started treating him as such. He did that, playing him and turning him into a viable NBA
Okay.
starting center. That
Yeah,
is an
he's viable. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with
um,
that.
he did that. He actually got that team in the playoffs because I don't think you can institute an offense
Mm-hmm.
in a season. I think that takes time, but when they actually did the things that he wanted from them, they beat the San Antonio Spurs, and then they came very close to beating Golden State Warriors. It was like, but they have a tendency, them being KD and Russ, to fall back on things that didn't work because they are, I don't know, maybe they don't trust the process as much. I don't know what it is with them, but they fall back and they fell back to one-on-one basketball when one-on-one basketball is not what got them to where they were. They were not playing one-on-one basketball when they took that lead, that 3-1 lead. They were doing a hell of a lot more than that. And when the game started getting close, they didn't trust what was working before and they fell back. And that's on them. I don't blame him the same way I don't blame any first year coach. That's on them. They're veterans. And I know
I'm,
for a fact, huh? Go
you know
ahead.
what? You know what? You're absolutely correct. I'm not gonna argue with any of that. You're right.
I just wish that they would
I
be
mean,
better. God, I just want
you
them to be
look.
better.
They don't ever do this on TV, and I don't know why, but I'm going to concede that I'm just wrong here. You're right. You're right. Because Billy Donovan did do all those things. We have to give him credit for knocking off Greg Popovich. We have to
I
give him
mean,
credit.
he outcoached the hell out of Pop in that series.
Yeah, he did. He absolutely did, and we got to give him credit. And this is something that we talked about on Twitter. That his 4-5, his ideas about the 4-5 rotation, he hit it, and he wasn't just throwing darts at a wall. He knew what he was doing when he did that. He hit it right on the head. That Steven Adams, Enes Kanter combination, and then playing Ibaka as a 5 with Durant as a 4. Those lineups
They work.
were very, and it was all. I mean, whether it was Donovan's idea or not, it was his staff. That was
Yeah.
not a thing they were doing before. That was so. Donovan, you're right. Donovan did a good job, and you know what? Of all the criticisms I had of him all year, and I was like, this looked like the same OKC, looked like the same OKC
It did for a
in the
good point
playoffs.
of the for a good portion of the season. It did just look like, all right, these
Right,
dudes just doing the same
most of the
shit.
season. But in the playoffs, all of those things you said were absolutely true. And I'm not even gonna flip and say Billy Donovan deserves a pass. Billy Donovan deserves a thumbs up. Did a good job for his first season.
And
You're
you
right.
just hope
Russell
that
and
they can get
KD
better. I'm glad they didn't win though, because they didn't have a chance in hell of beating Cleveland.
that I mean, you talk about handing Cleveland the title. Cleveland would have stomped on them, just stomped on them.
For the exact
But
reason that I said before, because KD and Russell Westbrook are dumb.
you know what? I hope, I hope that KD stays there and continue because I feel like he and Russ really have something special going together. You know, they even like doing their press conferences together.
Yeah,
So I
they
hope,
really like each other.
yeah, and I hope they stay together and I hope they recognize how important that relationship is because I don't think that Durant will be happier somewhere else.
I don't know if he'll
I,
be happier somewhere else either. But I wonder if the question becomes will he win somewhere else? And I don't know.
and yeah, it depends on what you want. Do you want to take LaMarcus Aldridge route and say, now he didn't have anything really special going in Portland, but other than being one of their best players all the time. But with Durant, I think that he and Russell Westbrook actually have a special relationship in Oklahoma City. And I think it's worth it for him to try to win there, given that they do have a viable roster. And as
I
we just
wonder.
stated, they have a good coach.
I wonder if they'll. But you look at the West. I just don't know who's going to beat Golden State, and I for sure don't
Well,
think it's going
they
to.
would have if they had suspended Green like they were supposed to. They would have.
Yeah, but maybe
Golden State,
no.
it
You
ain't
know
like
what? I
Golden
don't even
State's
know if I
unbeatable.
believe that. I don't even know if I believe that because they'd have found some way to OKC that too. You're looking at this like I can't believe they OKC this. No Green.
Well,
Like no, Clay would have just scored 75 points in that game instead of 41.
you know what? I, I honestly think this, and you know, a couple of people think this too, but I'm not in the a minority by myself like I usually am, but I think Green is their most important player. I don't think they can function without him because of the configuration of their roster. I
That
think their
may
bigs
be true.
so terrible. They need him. They
I
need him to play
I
well.
just I just don't think he's the most important. I think Steph is.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I understand why you think that, and I'm sure that if you argued it, you probably will win the argument because you know Steph is Steph Curry. You know he's a guy that can go out and stretch the defense to the parking lot. The handle, his ability to just hit three after three after three and make you pay for defensive mistakes is one of the most valuable skills you can have in basketball. So I'm not I'm not trying to say that it's not close, but I think because of the way their roster is built, when they don't have Green on the floor, they struggle to rebound. When they don't have Green on the floor, they have to put the ball in Steph Curry's hands, and he can't play off the ball as much. Even when Sean Livingston is in the game, because Sean Livingston, at this stage of his career, plays more like a 2-1. Not necessarily a shooter. He still plays more like a 2 than a 1. Green is really their primary ball handler, in addition to being their best rebounder and their best defender. I think when he's not on the floor, when he's out of the rotation, which you don't see because he don't get hurt, but when he's out of rotation, they are a totally different team, and not in a good way.
You may be right.
When Steph's not on the floor, you lose that weapon. But hey, man, they put Earl Clark in, and Earl Clark threw in a bunch of threes. When Steph was hurt, a bunch of threes. It's a big deal.
Yeah, it looks like that sounds good. Like it all sounds good. Like people, making up the slack. But I think like even in the game that Clay went off and had the 41 points or whatever, it was like Steph still had 29 points. He still had 10 rebounds and he still had 9 assists. Like
rebounding is a very hidden part of his game, and I hate when the announcers say that, because I know that they just dick riding and they got their agenda out, but they're like, "Oh, he's such an underrated rebounder." We those of us that watch the games know he can board. Steph is a very clever rebounder, because he certainly ain't doing.
He's a sneaky rebounder, but I mean,
kid boards. It's those Jason Kidd boards.
These
he
little
knows what
things, man. It's these small little things that he does for that team that you don't really even pay attention to it, and then it's just like, oh, you look up like, man, he got 29 points. What? He got 29 points.
One of the things that's very enjoyable about watching him play is that he's very he has an excellent feel for the game.
Yeah.
All of those little things that we're talking about in terms of knowing where the ball is going to bounce, a key steal in a key moment, because he knows what plays teams run down the stretches of games. He does, because you know what he does really?
Gets a bunch of goddamn
a lot of his game reminds me of Rondo. A lot of his game reminds me of Rondo. He understands what's going to happen, and he jumps plays and shit like that. And he does more of that than most players do.
He's very, very intelligent. He's a very intelligent basketball player, and I don't know, man. I'm not even a Steph Curry fan. I'm not, but I'm definitely not
either
one of these like somebody who's just like, man, I fucking hate Steph Curry. Like I can't possibly bring myself to hate the guy. I don't even hate LeBron James. I don't like him, but I don't hate him. But I can't bring myself to hate Steph because he's just fucking outstanding.
Yeah, when you watch his game, there's a lot to appreciate there that isn't just the cartoony threes. There's a lot of things about his game that are very slick and very clever. And on the flip side, one of the things I don't like about his game is stop throwing these reckless behind the back passes in the fourth quarter and turn the ball over when you know better than that.
Somebody else was one of my cousins that said something like that to me, but I was just like, he's a risk taker. And that's just one of the things that he does. He takes those risks. But it's his turnover, his assist turnover ratio is still like at a 2. So it's like you got to take the good with the bad with some of that stuff. And that's
it's not the quantity. It's that he makes goofy turnovers at really bad times in the game. Just because a lot of times I think that he's just, like you say, risk taker. I think he just gets arrogant at times, and he just feels like, I understand what's going on here so well, and I'm so great that I can just do this dumb shit I'm about to do. When if he was watching that on film, or if he was watching a game and somebody else was about to do that shit, he'd be like, "What are you doing?"
Maybe
like, because he knows better. He just does it anyway.
Maybe that's what it is. But I think, like I said, I think you gotta take that. You gotta live with that. That's just one of those things you have to live with.
Look, whenever we talking about great players, I'm gonna live with all of it. I'm gonna live with it.
What does he turn the ball over, like twice a game? Yeah, I can live with it.
No, it's not. Again, it's not a quantity, and or I should say, let me just sum it up this way.
It's when it happens.
I'm nitpicking him. I'm nitpicking this motherfucker. I'm not. This is not a what the fuck is wrong with Steph Curry. I'm just saying it's one of those things that I think he could just correct. It's one of those things that when you ask him, when he says things like, I can always get better. We can always get better. We can always do better. This is an
Yeah, that's
easy way
probably
for him
what
to
he's
get
talking
better.
about. That might actually be exactly what he's talking about.
But
Like,
yeah, it's easily correctable errors that somebody like him could easily just stop doing. So and I was really just saying this really in connection with the fact that we were just talking about how intelligent he is as a player. Okay, let's get back Dion Waiters. I want to talk about Dion Waiters for a second. Um, Dion Waiters is a good basketball player, and it's a shame that he's kind of become this joke or something. And it's like it ain't Dion Waiters' fault that he drives to the basket and they don't ever call foul. Like getting that dude to the free throw line is like impossible. Um, and I really like the fact that he's turned himself into a good player on both ends because the dude defensively, series defensively against Golden State, a very nice series.
Here's the problem I think that most people have with Dion. It's not that I don't. He's not a bad basketball player. It's just he has yet to be able to find a level of consistency that
Mm-hmm.
that's conducive to being considered a good basketball player. He's a guy who's able to have a good game here and there, but
Mm-hmm.
he needs to find some consistency. Like if he just finds a way to for the rest of his career, if all he does is average 10 points and 5 rebounds, like that is a damn good career. Like it's not superstardom, it's not even stardom. But there's a lot of guys who played a lot of years in this league that and won a lot and didn't even average that much. They didn't average 10 and 5. Like
If Dion Waiters could give me 10 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists, and play very good defense, he's a championship caliber backup shooting guard.
now that's the
If he can
thing
do,
though. It's whether or not he can actually do it. Right.
you know what? I saw it now. It looked like to me, and I've kind of been waiting for Dion Waiters to give me. I think Dion Waiters is breaking through now, and I credit Billy. I do credit Billy Donovan for some of that. I think he's breaking through because like one of the things that was really promising to me when Sean Livingston tried to post him, Dion wasn't having it, and Sean Livingston is money,
Yeah.
like just above block.
He was pushing them out on the block, even though he was still hitting that little fadeaway jump shot. He was pushing them out and contesting a lot. I did notice that.
And so there were a lot of things that I saw at the highest level because they play in the Golden State Warriors. There were a lot of things I saw in that Golden State series. Dion ain't scared. He was ready. He was ready to go. And I think that he's breaking through to the point where, like next season, he's can be a very valuable cog off the bench.
Now, isn't he a free agent?
I expect that they'll re-sign him. I would
Yeah.
expect. Hope so.
Now I'm trying to figure out because it was funny in that entire series. He simultaneously lost a lot of money and gained a lot of money. I don't even know how he like. I don't know. Like so, I guess he broke even because it was he was losing money and gaining money in that series at like an astounding rate.
Here,
I
here,
didn't know how to handle it.
this is what Dion can do. If you want to be a bad team and give Dion a bunch of money to be a shooting guard, a volume shooting motherfucker at the shooting guard position, and play solid defense, like if you want to pay him to do that and be like a shittier version of Wes Matthews Jr. pre-injury, obviously.
And
If you want somebody to do that, then go and pay him a buttload of fucking money and go do that.
man, I wanted the Bulls to get that dude so bad. I knew they didn't have a chance, because I knew he was either going back to Portland or he was going someplace that was not Chicago. But I would have loved for the Bulls to have been able to get him.
But Wes Matthews, I'm waiting to see if his Achilles is ever going to heal and
You know,
he'll
he
be
actually
able to
looked
get.
good this year. He looked a lot better this year than I thought he was going to look. Because towards the end of the season, he was the old, like, he's playing defense like the old West. I mean, he wasn't moving like himself, but he was moving a hell of a lot better than I thought a guy
Yeah,
with a torn Achilles would. So that was encouraging for all
I
things
hope
being
that he
considered.
gets back to form because I hate to see these guys, especially somebody like him that it's really obvious how much he cares and how hard he's working.
Yeah.
And I really hope he can get back to form because he want to earn that contract. He ain't the type of dude that like just gonna take the money and walk off. He wants to earn that money. He wants to prove that
It's
they were
funny.
supposed to sign me this
The
shit. He
guys
wants
a
to
lot
prove.
think like that, but for me, he'd already earned that money by what he was doing in Portland.
You know what? Well, this is another thing. Anybody follow me on social media knows or listens to my shows. Absolutely. A lot of these guys, like it's like when I heard some idiots this year talking about Wade's contract because Wade basically had a 1 year max deal. And it's like, oh, why would they give him that? They don't need to pay him that. And I'm like, he's been making that clown that owns that cruise line that also owns the Heat
Mickey Harrison.
hundreds of millions of dollars.
That's the same thing with
Dwayne
Kobe
Wade,
Bryant, where everybody's like, why would they give him that money? Because he fucking earned it. Like, he
yeah,
earned that money. The same
he
reason
earned
why
it.
Derrick Rose is making the amount of money that he's making right now. He earned that money before the contract when he wasn't getting paid to win MVPs. So,
Yeah, right. You know what? It kills me. And we all know deep down what the real reason is. Everybody
yeah,
mad.
because you're black. You're making money.
Yeah, because why are you discounting the fact that when Derrick Rose is making like $4 million a year, get 25 a game?
to
Like,
tear his knees all up.
yeah, and by the way, house packed. I mean, and not just the Bulls home court, not the United Center.
Everybody was coming. Derrick Rose is still in the top 10
Everybody,
in jersey sales now.
top one of the top jersey sellers and road attendance. See, that's the thing that people don't understand about your value to the league. The Bulls' road attendance to this day is still very high.
Yeah, the
That's in
Bulls
large
are
part
one of
to the
the
roads.
more well. I mean, the Bulls fans travel very, very well. Probably better than anybody else's fans.
Absolutely, they're all over the Midwest. You can see Bulls fans at the Bucks games all the time,
Nah,
all the time.
You see Bucks fans at Bulls games. That's what you mean. Because that's just United Center North up there. When we play the Milwaukee Bucks, we take over that
just take
stadium.
just take the building over. And so these players, I 100% agree with you. When Wes Matthews was an undrafted free agent and Wes Matthews was toiling his way to get his own shot, which I have no idea why this dude had to work so hard when his dad played in the NBA. I don't understand that shit at all. But when Wes Matthews toiled all that time to get himself and turn himself into one of the best starting shooting guards in the league, he wasn't making nothing. He wasn't making nothing. So
And
yeah, the
now
league.
when you get hurt, you're not supposed to get any money. That's not the way things. That's
Yeah,
not
it's
how it
supposed.
works. That's not how things work.
As much as I dislike a lot of the things Mark Cuban does, Mark Cuban, man,
He
you
takes
know
care of his
what?
guys.
He's taking care of a lot of players. He's and it should be what's standard, but it isn't. I mean, we got to give him credit because it's not standard. He went there and said, you know what, Wes Matthews, he sat down, he looked him in the eye. Normally that subjective bullcrap that is reserved for quarterbacks and dumb shit like that. He looked him in the eye and said, you know what? I trust Wes Matthews Jr. Here's the money. Hey, man, he took care of the brother.
I know one thing.
Everybody always
Wes Matthews, the
go ahead.
money he gave Wes Matthews is paid off a hell of a lot more than the money he gave Chandler Parsons.
Andre, you can't be bringing up these white guys that get their money and then never play again. You can't be bringing that.
If he's playing. It's taken a lot longer for him to come back from his injury than it has for.
When Houston let him walk, I was like, Trevor Reeves is better than him anyway. Like, let him walk. Like Chandler Parsons, one of those.
Sad.
Yeah, oh, it's sad. It's sad.
A sad.
No, I ain't saying Trevor Reeves is dope. I'm saying Chandler Parsons ain't shit. Out of these dudes that are moderate scorers, but sieves defensively, and we act like they supposed to be good. Chandler Parsons is not a good player. He just flat out isn't. He isn't. He's an average player at best. He can go out there and get some buckets and then give up a gang of points to an average player. Big deal. And he don't do anything else. He don't board. He can't create for others.
He rebounds pretty well. He's pretty okay rebounder. I'm trying to help the guy out here. He's a pretty good rebounder.
I'm gonna go ahead and look up Chandler Parsons' whack stats because he's too scrawny to do anything that's hard on the basketball.
What does he average? Like 5-6 rebounds a game? It has to be like 5 or 6 rebounds. Right?
You know what? This isn't as bad as I thought. Chandler Parsons averages 5 rebounds a game over his career. Not that bad. Now, here's the flip side.
For a small forward.
Here's the flip. What do you think Melo averages? Now the dude, everybody complains about he don't do nothing but
Melo averages about
what do you think Melo
close to 7.5, maybe 8 rebounds a game. But Melo is also 250 pounds. So he's a power forward.
Here's my all I'm saying is I don't grade people on a curve. I judge them by the same standard. When they want to kick dirt on Melo, I judge other small forwards by the same standard. And you can't tell me, ESPN, that Carmelo Anthony, all he does is score when your boy Chandler Parsons, who you love so much, only get 5 boards a game. Melo get 8 rebounds. Lately, Melo's an 8 rebound guy.
Yeah, that's about what Melo does. He gets his 8 rebounds.
So that's when I look at people. Chandler Parsons is not. I don't dislike Chandler. I like Chandler basically.
I could not. I could not possibly tell that you like Chandler Parsons.
I do. I basically like him. He go out there, he get a nice dunk every now and then. You know, he's selling his socks on the side. I basically like him. But don't try to pretend like he's something he's not just because you want a probable white boy. And that's what I hear Chandler Parsons is playing. Chandler Parsons dunked the ball. It's a straight dunk, and everybody acts. I'm like he's an NBA player. You insulting him when you act like he shouldn't be able to get a nice dunk every now and then.
I just want to let everybody know that all of these, the white comments, these are all the opinions of senior basketball analysts and According to Sources podcast or the ETMF network. we love white people. Hey, you got anything else, man?
And that's anybody else to make me listen.
You got anything else you wanna get off before we go ahead and get up out of here, man?
Yeah, look, I like again. I appreciate you having me on. It's always great to talk. I wish Rob had come on or Devin or somebody, man. Dude saw I was coming on, then they ran for the hills. Said, man, I don't want to listen to that dude. He's too loud. but no, I appreciate it. Anytime y'all want to have me on, man, just hit me up. I'm looking forward to the finals. I know you are too. I'm gonna just throw my little prediction out there. I'm probably with you, except I think it's Golden State in 7. I think it actually is gonna go 7 games in 7. I think unfortunately, the softness of Kevin Love is gonna come through and it's gonna ruin everything. And I think if Kevin Love, I guess to say if I was gonna pick Cleveland, to wrap it up, if I was gonna pick Cleveland, I would have to believe Kevin Love was gonna give me a good series, and I don't think he is. I just don't. And it's unfortunate because I want this Kevin Love, Kyrie Irving, LeBron combination to work, and I just don't think it's going to. And I think it's because Kevin Love's not good enough.
Nah, no well. Tell the people where you are, where they can find you
at. Man, see, you can always find us at seniorbasketballanalyst.com. You get all your news there. SBA 4th string. I'm the Vine master. So hit us up, man. Instagram, Twitter, all of that. Anytime you want to talk basketball, I'm available. If you got some bullshit to say, I'm just going to ignore you. And that's how we do it on the internet. So again, man, according to Sources crew, Andre, thanks for having me on, man. I really appreciate it.
Nah, no problem. Anytime. And you know where to find us. According to sources at Gmail, according to sources on Facebook, A2 sources on Twitter. You guys know about the ETMF Podcast Network. You know where to find us. So for Dre, that's SBA. This is according to sources. And we are out.